أعوذ بالله من الشيطان الرجيم بسم الله الرحمن الرحيم ولا حول ولا قوة إلا بالله العلي العظيم. Assalamu alaikum. Welcome back everyone. Welcome to Fawakih Arabic. This is الدرس الثامن, lesson 8 of level 1A, semester 1. Bismillah, let's get started. We're going to be doing a very important subject today, which is al-idafa, the possessive. It's been translated as the possessive construct. So remember that we have looked at the three different types of noun compounds that we might find in Arabic. So when we find two isms together, it is normally one of these three possibilities. It is either an adjectival phrase, a murakkab tawsifi, we call it murakkab tawsifi. Let's just do a quick review of the first two types, and then we'll go to the third one, which is what occupies us today in this lesson. So we say the first possibility is that we have a mawsuf and a sifa, what we call murakkab tawsifi, right? A noun and an adjective describing that noun, right? And they have to match in absolutely everything. If we have a mawsuf and a sifa, then they both have to match in the four things that we've mentioned before. You remember? Yeah? Fatima, can you remind us of the four things? Gent, that's correct. Gender, ending, number, and definiteness. So they have to match in everything. So let's give a quick example. رجل كريم. For example, رجل would be the mawsuf, كريم would be the sifa. رجل is the described noun, a man. كريم, generous, is the thing describing how the man is. And you have to make sure that كريم, the sifa, matches in the four things. All right, so رجل, masculine, because of the meaning, we know that. This has to be masculine also, كريم. رجل, it is indefinite because of the tanween, we know it. So كريم must also be indefinite. It has to be one, because this is one, right? Singular, and also مرفوع. All right, it has a ضمتين in this case, so it's مرفوع. All right, the next possibility is that it is a nominal sentence, right? And what we call جملة اسمية. We've looked at this case. جملة اسمية, how do we know it's a جملة اسمية? All right, so we have two parts, مبتدأ and خبر, the subject and the predicate. The first part, the first noun, will have to be or is normally definite. The second one is indefinite. So using the same example of رجل كريم, how would we say this? الرجل كريم. الرجل, the مبتدا, is definite because it has al, alif lam. The man, كريم, is generous. The second one is indefinite, right? They're both مرفوع. They have to be both مرفوع. But the first one is definite. The second one is indefinite. الرجل كريم. So when we translate into English, we find out that there is a verb. The verb to be is in between. All right, it's not written in Arabic. الرجل كريم. But when we translate the sentence, and by the way, this is a sentence, a full sentence with full meaning because it has a verb, then we find out that there is a verb. The man is generous. الرجل كريم. Right, so both مرفوع. First one is definite, second one is indefinite. Now let's come to what we're studying and discussing today. The third possibility, the possessive construct. All right, al-idafa. And as a lot of grammarians call it, al-Mudaf wal-Mudaf ilaihi. You will find in many grammar books that is referred to as al-Mudaf wal-Mudaf ilaihi. They just mention the two parts of the construct. The first part, or the first term, is al-Mudafu. The second one is al-Mudafu ilayh. Right, so this is the possessed or the owned thing. The second one will be the owner or the possessor of the first term, if that makes sense. So qalamu Zaidin, for example, the pen of Zaid. So to translate an idafa, we would normally typically just add the at the beginning and of in the middle of the two nouns. Right? قلم زيد, the pen of Zaid. It is very important to know that the first term, the mudaf, cannot have al, cannot have alif lam, and cannot have tanween either. And the second one, the mudafu ilayh is majroor. Let's look at this a little bit more in detail. There's here a chart that will make this very easy. So let's get rid of this first. Bismillah. Al-idafa. It has two parts, two nouns. Here in the red box on the right, you can see al-mudaf or mudafun. Here on the left, mudafun ilayh in the green box. All right. So what is necessary for the mudaf? What is necessary for the mudaf? Usually it's definite, usually, but not always. It has no tanween, but also no al. This is what's important. The mudaf has no tanween, but also no alif lam. It can be in any case, in any of the three cases, all right? Raf', nasb, or jar, that depends on the sentence, depends what's the role of that word in the sentence. What about the mudafun ilayh, the second term? It is usually definite, but not always. So it usually has al to show that it's definite. It could have tanween, so it may have tanween or may not have tanween. And we'll see some examples, inshallah. It is always in the jar case. This is what's important, that the mudafun ilayh, the owner, is always majroor. So kitabullahi, the book of Allah, Allahi must have a kasra. It is majroor. Qalamu Muhammadin, the pen of Muhammad, Muhammadin, it has to be majroor. All right? And so just remember that kasra is the main sign for jar, but not always. There are exceptions. So some words and pronouns will not show the jar case. There are a few exceptions, and we'll look at this, inshallah. Do not be discouraged if you do not understand everything. Obviously, if you have any questions, please make your questions. I'll be more than happy to answer them. But if any part of the lesson is not fully understood, please do not worry. You will come to that as we move on and we advance. You will fill in the gaps and you will understand it. So please do not worry about that. All right, chained idafas. This is something that can happen very easily. It is to add more owners to the previous noun, right? So to chain more than one idafa. This is possible. It is very common. It can happen. Theoretically, there's no limit to the number of idafas that you can chain, but obviously in practice, it is normally 2 or 3. It doesn't normally go beyond 3 idafas because it will make it a bit complicated. So what we normally have is 2 nouns. We looked at that already, qalamu zaydin, or let's add one more now. Babu bayti rajuli, the door of the house of the man, right? That's 2 idafas. 3 nouns, 2 idafas. So the term in the middle is both, it's both mudafun ilay for the previous noun and mudaf for the following noun. Does that make sense? Is that understood? Yeah, Anas? Yeah? You understand this? All right. Wonderful. So let's add one more. This is 3 idafas here. In the following example, we have 3 idafas. Okay? Babu bayti bin rajuli, the door of the house of the son of the man. And you can keep going. But as I said, it's not common to have more than this, to have more than 3 idafas. 2, very common. Let's give you an example that you will recognize immediately when I say it. Sahabatu Rasulillahi. This is a very common expression that I'm sure you've all heard. Fatima, can you please give me the translation, the meaning of Sahabatu Rasulillahi? Correct. The companions of the Messenger of Allah. Right? So Sahabatu is the mudaf. It has no tanween, no al. The companions, Sahabatu, is the plural of Sahabi. Rasulillahi, of the Messenger of God. Right? So that's already a chained idafa, as an example. Right? Adjectives of idafa. What happens if you want to add a sifa to one of the 2 terms of the idafa? Then you have to make sure that it matches in gent, in the 4 things. Right? So we have 2 examples here. Ibnatu ar-rajuli salihi, the translation would be the daughter of the pious man, or the pious man's daughter. How do we know that salih, this sifa, is referring to the man, is describing the man and not the daughter? Well, because it matches in everything with the man. If you notice, al, so definite. Al-rajuli as-salihi. It has a kasra, it has a kasra. Majrur. So it matches in case. In gender also, al-rajul as-salih. Mudhakkar. Right? Masculine. And in number, just 1 and 1. If it was referring to the daughter, it would have to be like here. Salihatu, feminine, because of tamarbuta. Marfu' with a dhamma. And then just by that, we know it's referring to the daughter. And so on and so forth.